All right, before we can extract the earthquake data that we need for our app, we should discuss the structure or format of the data that we get back from the USGS API. When we say format, we mean to discuss the specifics of how the data is organized or structured so that we know how to dissect and extract the parts we need for our app. Earlier in this lesson, we reviewed some of the HTTP request parameters that were available to us to query the USGS dataset. One of those parameters, format equals value, allows us to specify the response format or structure of how we'd like the response data to be sent. We opted for format equals GeoJSON, which sends the data back to us in a structure using the JSON syntax rules. While there are other formats that have strengths and weaknesses and histories beyond the scope of this class, we chose JSON because this is the most common response format used by many of today's signature web services. That's not to say JSON is decidedly better than any other format such as XML. Moreover, we encourage you to explore other formats in your free time to get a better sense of the design intention, the strengths and weaknesses, and even the histories of those formats. Like all technology, the web has changed rapidly over time and various formats have emerged. Rest assured, though, the experience you will gain by familiarizing yourself with JSON will also help you pick up on other formats quickly. So, let's zoom in on JSON. For the USGS Earthquake API, we have a format called GeoJSON available. GeoJSON is just a special flavor of JSON, custom tailored to represent geographical information. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. From the name, you might assume that it's tightly coupled with the JavaScript programming language. That's actually not the case. JSON, while originally designed to help facilitate efficient communication on the web, and hence it's tied to JavaScript, is really just a set of syntactical rules to organize data and thus is completely programming language independent. So, JSON can be interpreted using any programming language of choice, including the Java code that we use to build our Android apps. Let's start to learn how to read JSON by looking at a really simple example. This example describes a kind of shoe. Let's start at the root left brace, which notes the start of a JSON object. Everything inside it before the closing right brace is its contents. You can think of these braces as a container of stuff. At the heart of the JSON syntactical structure is the notion of key-value pairing. Syntactically, the key is on the left of the colon and the value is on the right. This pairing is simply a way of encapsulating a tie or an association between a name of our choosing, aka the key, and its corresponding value. It turns out this is an important semantic in programming and computer science. Why? Well, this mapping or binding of a key to a value helps us recall the data layer in an easier and more logical manner. In other words, when we want to pull up or recall the data layer, instead of having to remember all the specifics of the data, because in some cases it could be a lot of data, we can do this just by using its tag or key. Think of a coat check when you're going to the symphony hall. You might have dropped off a lot of items at the coat check counter, but all you need to do to get your stuff back is to hold on to your ticket and give it to the attendant at the end of the show. Let's look at a few examples of keys. Here we have the string key size, which references a positive decimal number, which happens to be for the shoe size of 9.5. When we see a comma, this is simply a delimiter to let us know that there's another key value pair following. Okay, so we also have wide, which maps to the Boolean value of true. Then we have country of origin, which is a string set to USA. This key value semantic is starting to feel pretty straightforward, right? Cool! These have been pretty simple keys. Keys are logical names that map to simple primitives that you've been used to, numbers, booleans, and strings. But wait, the key style maps to a value of what? What is this brace here? There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on. What are you doing to me here? This could be kind of interesting. And in fact, this is where the power and extensibility of JSON as a data format lies. Let's take a break and we'll take a deeper look at the possible values in the next node.